Hello, wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Stories That Shape Us. I'm your host, Mavis, and if you've been here before, you already know. This is a space where we take simple stories and uncover the life lessons inside. Today, we have one that honestly gave me goosebumps when I first read it. It's called The Bridge Between Brothers. On the surface, it's just about two farmers, two siblings who have a fight. But when you lean in, when you really think about it, it's about so much more. Pride, forgiveness, the walls we build, and the bridges we sometimes forget to build. And I couldn't think of anyone better to break this down with me than my guest today. He's a storyteller, a thinker, and he has this way of making you laugh even when he's talking about life's toughest lessons. David, welcome to the show.
Mavis, I'm starting to think you're secretly my agent. That introduction was so good, I almost believed it myself. Thank you for having me. It's always a joy to be here.
Well, maybe I should be your agent. But really, David, I couldn't do this episode without you. When I first came across this story, I thought, okay, it's short, it's simple. But then as I sat with it, I realized it's the kind of story that stays with you. And I knew we need to unpack this together.
Oh, absolutely. You know, the funny thing about short stories like this is that they don't waste words. Every detail is intentional, and that's why they hit harder. You think, this is about two brothers fighting, but by the end, you're asking yourself, what fences have I built in my own life? Who do I need to build a bridge to? It sneaks up on you.
Exactly. Before we dive into today's conversation, let's step into the story itself. Here's Jewel reading The Bridge Between Brothers.
The Bridge Between Brothers. On two sides of a sparkling creek lived two brothers, Aaron and Michael. Their farms were mirrors of each other, with green fields and happy animals. And for years, their hearts were mirrors too. They shared everything: tools, laughter, and long summer evenings. They worked side by side from sunrise to sunset. Their bond was as strong and reliable as the sturdy red barns they had built together, and their friendship was the talk of the valley. But one autumn, a shadow fell, a silly misunderstanding over a stray cow and a patch of prize-winning pumpkins led to harsh words. The words, once spoken, could not be taken back. The argument grew into a cold, heavy silence. The brothers stopped sharing their morning coffee. They stopped helping each other with the harvest. The creek between their farms began to feel as wide and as deep as an ocean. Michael felt the silence too. He missed his brother's easy laughter and steady friendship. He would often gaze across the creek hoping to see Aaron, but the fields on the other side always seemed empty. One morning, Aaron's hurt hardened into a decision. He wanted a wall between them, a barrier he could not see past. He saddled his horse and rode into town to find a carpenter. In a dusty workshop, he found an old carpenter named Silas. "I need a fence," Aaron said, his voice firm. "An 8-foot-tall fence, so I don't have to look at my neighbor's farm ever again." Silas looked at Aaron, his eyes full of a quiet wisdom. "I see," he said slowly, stroking his beard. "A tall fence. I have the wood. I will build what is needed." Aaron left for a week to buy supplies in the city, a bitter feeling settling in his chest. When he returned, he steered his wagon over the final hill and stopped, his mouth falling open in disbelief. There was no fence. Where a wall of anger should have been, a beautiful wooden bridge now stood. It stretched gracefully from his land to Michael's, its handrails smooth and inviting. As Aaron stared, he saw his brother, Michael, walking onto the bridge from the other side. Michael's face was filled with a hopeful wonder as he looked at the stunning creation. Michael walked toward the center, his eyes shining. "You built a bridge," he called out, a wide smile spreading across his face. After everything, I knew you couldn't stay angry forever." Aaron was speechless. He hadn't built this. He had asked for a wall. But as he looked at his brother's happy, forgiving face, the anger in his own heart began to crumble and wash away. The brothers met in the middle of the bridge. They didn't speak. They just stood there, listening to the gentle gurgle of the creek flowing peacefully beneath them. Finally, Aaron broke the silence. "I'm sorry," he whispered. In an instant, Michael pulled him into a hug. "I'm sorry too, brother," he replied, his voice thick with emotion. As they parted, they saw the old carpenter, Silas, packing his tools by the creek bank. "Wait," Aaron called out, hurrying toward him. "You built a bridge. How can I ever pay you?" Silas tipped his hat. "Oh, I've already been paid," he said, his eyes twinkling. "I'm just a man who likes to build bridges." And with that, he turned and walked away. The brothers stood on the bridge for a long time, watching the sunset paint the sky. They talked and laughed, their voices once again echoing across the valley, mending the silence between them. The bridge remained a constant, beautiful reminder not of what had divided them, but of what had brought back together. It was a bridge built not of wood, but of a second chance. And from that day on, the brothers knew a deep and simple truth. Sometimes what feels broken can be mended, not with wood or stone, but with forgiveness.
What a story. So simple yet so powerful. David, can you retell the story in your own words? And don't rush. Take us into it. Let us see it.
All right, here we go. Picture this. Two brothers living side by side, each on their own farm. For years, they were close. They helped each other, shared meals, shared laughter, even shared tools. You could say they were not just brothers by blood, but also best friends. But then, as it often happens in life, a small disagreement turned into something bigger. No one remembers exactly what it was. Maybe words said in anger, maybe a misunderstanding about land or money, but pride got in the way. Instead of talking it through, they stopped talking altogether. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, and the silence between them grew louder than any argument could have been. One morning, the younger brother hired a carpenter. He pointed to the stream that ran between their two farms and said, "I don't want to see my brother's face anymore. Build me a fence. Build it tall, strong, something that keeps him out of sight." The carpenter nodded, but said little. He got to work. The younger brother left for the day, imagining the fence rising plank by plank. But when he returned in the evening, his eyes widened. There was no fence. Instead, stretching across the stream was a bridge, a beautiful wooden bridge, sturdy and inviting, connecting one farm to the other. And just as he stood there in shock, he saw his brother walking towards him. At first, no words, just footsteps on the bridge. And then finally, with tears in his eyes, the older brother said, "After all I've said and done, you still built a bridge. Thank you." And in that moment, they embraced. The silence that had lasted months melted away. Because sometimes a bridge says more than words ever could.
Oh, David, that gave me chills. A bridge instead of a fence. One choice that changed everything.
Exactly. And what's so powerful is that the carpenter could have done what was asked. He could have built the fence. He could have said, "Hey, not my business. You want separation? You got it." But instead, he chose to build a bridge. And that choice, it became the turning point. It became healing.
And it makes you wonder, how often do we ask for fences in our own lives? Maybe not literally, but emotionally. I don't want to see her. I don't want to talk to him. We think we're protecting ourselves, but really we're just closing doors that could have led to healing.
And the truth is, fences make us lonelier. Bridges make us whole. That's why I love the story. It's simple, but it's like a mirror. It makes you look at your own relationships, your own pride, and ask, am I building fences or am I building bridges?
Listeners, I want you to just take a moment right now. Picture someone in your life, maybe a family member, maybe a friend, maybe even a colleague, where there's been distance, where silence has built a fence. What would happen if instead you built a bridge? In this first part of our conversation, we've heard the story, we've felt its weight, and already I think we can all agree it's not just about two farmers. It's about us. It's about the choices we make every single day in every single relationship. But this is only the beginning. In our next segment, David and I are going to get really personal. We'll talk about our own fences, our own missed opportunities, and why forgiveness feels so hard and yet so necessary. You don't want to miss it.
And I might even share the story of how my brother and I didn't talk for months because of a broken lawnmower. So yes, stick around.
See, even lawnmowers can teach us lessons. Stay tuned.